Liberal journalists and Democrats are blasting CNN for giving the voters the opportunity to hear from a presidential candidate. But, it is former President Trump, so Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez says CNN should be ashamed of themselves. Creator of the 1619 Project called it unbelievable, and political commentator Amanda Carpenter tweeted, "Trump did not deserve this forum. He was not entitled to a major media network rolling out the red carpet for a primetime event." And the liberal media didn't hold back either. Watch.
I always thought town halls were meant for us to get to know a candidate and what they stand for. So what is the point of this new town hall that he's doing?
That's what I'm so disgusted by, because again, when someone shows you who they are, you believe them.
This is not journalism, this is entertainment. In journalism, you actually will control with the questions and the answers, and you will have some sort of a filter for misinformation.
It feels to me like this is a pretty open attempt by CNN to push itself to the right and make itself attractive and show its belly to MAGA and to conservatives, hoping that they will tune in.
No surprises, and yet it was a disgraceful performance. It was disgraceful on every level.
Scathing rebukes Kayleigh for hosting an open town hall where the former president took audience questions and was questioned by CNN's own host, Caitlin Collins there. So apparently the problem, however, is simply giving him a microphone to have a presidential candidate give his views.
This is amazing. I mean, Donald Trump is leading in every single national poll you look at. Every single one, double digits. He is the leading front runner for the Republican nomination right now. And the thought that he wouldn't deserve a voice in American politics, what is wrong with these people? People's pictures who you're putting up, the people who were watching in those clips, they exist in an echo chamber of D.C., of New York City. I bet, when's the last time Joe Scarborough went to Mississippi? When's the last time Joe Scarborough, maybe I'm wrong, correct me if I am, Joe. When's the last time he talked to real American voters across the country? Thankfully, we live in a country where the people decide who the president is, not the media. But how scary it is when social media, because you remember the former president was banned, media and corporate America all come together to try to push a specific viewpoint. We saw it with Hunter Biden. Now we're seeing it with President Trump. We saw it with Stacey Abrams when she said a baby doesn't have a heartbeat. They all colluded to change the science. So it's a scary time when you have media folks talking like that who have a platform.
And Harris, what confuses me as well is, given what Kayleigh just said, and again, this is someone who likely we will see on the debate stage. We definitely will, at least at the primary level. And yet, this is echoed throughout, obviously, the left media's concerns here. But Daily Beast columnist Wajahat Ali said, he says, CNN failed journalism, the American public, and its own employees. I don't understand what that failure is if the point of journalism is to report what a presidential candidate is saying, to give forum to American voices who were present at that town forum.
It's an excellent point. May I add one more tweet?
Please.
I just came across this because it was just in the last 30 minutes. Jamil Hill, remember her? She was a sportscaster. She was really good on ESPN. She's kind of outspoken with her views, so she's not there anymore. But here's what she tweets. CNN got exactly what it wanted out of the Trump town hall. Ratings, buzz, and a bat signal to conservative viewers that their views are now more welcomed. It's heartbreaking and destructive for journalism and democracy, but it was a win for the network in every way. Look, I'm not digging through the comments, but I can tell you that a couple of them echo that. I mean, people on the left do feel like that was just too much of a platform for Donald Trump. That platform is dwarfed compared to Fox News or even some others. So I can understand why CNN might want to step there, but maybe they also wanted to get some other voices. I mean,
don't think so.
It could be. I mean, we can think positively about it.
Yeah. I mean, did you see how angry Jake Tapper was right afterwards? Like, here's what he did, and here's how he lied to you.
Caitlin Collins looked pretty frustrated and angry at moments, too.
That was a bad night for her. And that's because your job is not supposed to be debating the person on the town hall. Your job is to ask questions. But this, I think, comes back to a bigger plan for 2024 by Democrats. This is how they think they're going to win. You put somebody out there like Donald Trump, and then you give all the reasons why you're justified in silence and censoring him, which is exactly what they did last time. This is the prerequisite for MSNBC saying, we're not going to do a debate with Donald Trump. He doesn't deserve it. And for the record, I don't care who you are, if you're a former president of any country. It's not rolling out the red carpet, as somebody said in a tweet, to have a former president of any country on TV. That's normal. And they're trying to say Donald Trump isn't normal. So therefore, silence him, censor him, shut him up, shut down debate, shut down presidential debates in general. I think part of this really goes back to what Democrats want. They do not want any Republican on stage with Joe Biden
Yes. Well,
that's
because
the thing.
they know
That's
it
the
will
thing.
destroy Joe
He can't
Biden.
handle
And
it.
this is the prerequisite to get you there, saying they don't deserve a say in it.
But look at what Trump did last night, though. I mean, Caitlin Collins did her job. She was trying to fact check. She was doing those things. She got frustrated and angry. It was on display. But they went back and forth. Can you imagine Joe Biden doing that same thing with somebody?
Oh, goodness, no. And Kaylee, back to the point about the media, so many arguing that he shouldn't even have a platform. CNN's own Adam Kinzinger called it an absolute joke and later said to Jake Tapper, look, as someone who spent the last 2 years countering the lies, I'm not going to pretend like it was easy for me to see him get this forum tonight to lie over and over again. That's what fact-checking is for. So at a certain point, the role of the media is to host neutrally a presidential candidate's voice. And if you have issue with policies put forth or facts argued, then fact-check them after. But to call the concept of a town hall with American public interacting with a former president and a presidential candidate, how could that be a joke?
Yeah, and I don't think that Democrats are necessarily upset that Trump was given a platform on CNN. I think that they're upset that during that platform, people cheered for Trump and liked what he had to say. And that's the real threat here, because the entire point of censorship, the motivation behind it is the idea that people are too stupid to think for themselves, to make their own conclusions about what Trump has to say and to weigh in on that. And I'm from Michigan, I'm from the Midwest, and you're right, it is a very elitist attitude to talk down to Midwestern voters who voted for Trump in 2016, who voted for him again in 2020, who might vote again for him in 2024, and tell them, no, actually, you don't get to hear the former president.
Exactly.
You don't get to decide for yourself what you think about him. That is the Democrats' attitude.
Totally.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.